Hello, everybody. My name is Emmanuel, and today I'm gonna do another movie review. This time is another Kubrick classic, and it's one of the most memorable horror movies of all time, The Shining. I know I made a community post that I did my review on The Shining along with The Thing, considering I do love The Shining and The Thing. That has been one of the greatest horror movies of all time. So let's not waste any more time and dive right into it. So the movie starts out with Jack Torrance going to the Overlook Hotel in the Colorado, where Ullman just told him that he's gonna do some kind of isolation job on there as well. As soon as he arrived at the Overlook Hotel and did an interview with Mr. Stuart Ullman, Bill Watson just jumped out and just came out of nowhere and just also joined the interview for some reason. As soon as they do the interview about the whole isolation or something like that, Stuart Ullman mentions that another caretaker that he literally just invited to do the job is actually Charles Grady. I'll come back to that in a minute about the Grady crap or something like that. So later, Mr. Ullman just told Jack about the incident that occurred like 10 years ago, back in 1970, that Charles Grady used to be a normal person or a good record. But later when he did the whole caretaking job on the Overlook Hotel, he suffers like a Omen said, and I quote, he must have suffered some kind of a mental breakdown and ran amok. And he killed his family with an axe. And he stabbed in one of the rooms on the West Wing and he put barrels of shotgun in his mouth. At first, Jack tries to say to Omen, stated that nothing's gonna happen to him. And he clearly, accepted the job of being the caretaker of the Overlook Hotel. And then later, at the apartment that Danny and Wendy lived, Danny and Wendy discuss about the Overlook Hotel or is Jack gonna, succeed at getting the job. And well, both of them, both Danny and Wendy seem like, they're happy to go to the Overlook Hotel, but there's one character that doesn't want to go, and that is Tony. Tony said he doesn't want to go because, all the demonic or something like that occurred in the Overlook Hotel, and he doesn't want to get into trouble with the whole spirit crap or something like that. And then we return back to the meeting on the interview about, I explained it before that, about the Charles Grady, etc. Yeah, I just convoluted myself on that. As soon as that, back at the apartment where Wendy and Danny are staying, Tony stated to Danny that he doesn't want to go, which Danny was confused at first and why he doesn't want to go. And then Tony just revealed in his face vision that was gonna happen with all about the events of the movie. Because Tony is just a big movie spoiler for some reason. Because he just revealed Danny in front of his face about the whole crazy shit's gonna be revealed like a hotel. Alright, speaking of crazy shit, Danny and Tony revealed to him about the elevator of blood and the Grady twins and the screams of Danny himself, of Danny screaming. I should have said that. As soon as when Danny, and then later when Danny has some kind of creepy vision of all the things gonna happen in the Overlook Hotel. Daniel passed out, and then he was literally talk with the psychiatrist all about what the hell happened. Danny just said that it was Tony who literally given those visions, and he said that he lives in his mouth, and he stated that he just rides on his stomach, etc. And also, there's another moment that it was actually the whole entire scene with the psychiatrist. The whole scene was cut in the European version of the film due to how being long it is. And it stated that when Wendy revealed about the whole incident with Jack Torrance being like a alcoholic bastard. It's when he literally came back on the apartment drunk, and he literally, and when Danny was playing with the papers, as soon as and Jack Torrance trying to pick them up, but in reality, he was just picking off Danny's arm and then broke it. Which of course, Danny broke his arm, and then later Jack Torrance admitted admitted that he's not gonna go drink again because this shit's gonna happen again. And then later, with the whole conversation ended with the psychiatrist, the entire Terrace family, I mean, only just three of them, Wendy, Jack, and Danny Torrance, all three of them went to the Overlook Hotel. And well, they did, and the hotel was literally closing. And as soon as the closing day of the local hotel, it's because Storewoman stated that the hotel opened from May to September, up to when to the following May it will reopen. It's due to that the whole isolation for some reason. And then later, as soon as they they enter the hotel, they didn't like a tour of the hotel, and whatever, about the car lounge, the Torrance room, the hedge maze, or the kitchen, or something like that. Unfortunately, when something weird happened, it's when Danny Torrance and his mother and meet with Dick Halloran, the head chef of the Overlook Hotel. As soon as they did some kind of like tour or something of the kitchen, then he has some kind of like a shining vision. Did some kind of shining connection with Dick Halloran because Dick Halloran can also shine. And Dick stated to him that, how do you like some ice cream, Doc? Which revealed that Dick Halloran also had the shining because he already knew that. How did he know about Danny's nickname or something like that? As soon as the tour ended, I mean, right like when people were like to leave the hotel or something like that, Danny has a conversation with Dick Halloran all about all the demonic shit of the whole hotel. How did he knew about why it was dark, or why how does he shine, or what does the purpose of the shine? Dick Halloran stated that he got the shining only because he literally just did some kind of conversation with his grandmother, but only with their minds and not from their mouths. And then Dick Halloran just questioned about Tony, or how did he know about the Overlook Hotel, or etc. And then when Danny Torrance referred to a room that Dick Halloran just trying to tell him to warn Danny to not go in, and that it is room 237. I mean, as soon as Danny was questioned about the room 237, Dick Halloran just said that nothing was in there. Nothing, absolutely nothing. But he literally told Danny to not go in there. So he sent him to stay out, and that's it. Due to the whole, how a lot of crazy shit occurred at the Overlook Hotel or something like that. As soon as after the whole tour, the hotel is not just now in isolation, which means that the hotel is now in the Torrance control. Well, I mean, the hotel is the main responsible for literally manipulating the Torrance family into believing that it was beautiful at first, but in reality, it was a 180. I was playing it a little bit. As soon as, the Torrance are doing the normal shit, or doing the normal routine at the Overlook Hotel, like, da-da-da-da-da. Like when Wendy Torrance prepared Jack breakfast, and, well, Danny is just playing with a tricycle in the hallways of the Overlook Hotel, including the car, a lounge, etc. At the same time, Jack Torrance was playing with the ball at the Overlook Hotel, and, well, Danny is like playing with his mother at the hedge maze. Jack Torrance like just stared at the model of work at the Overlook, the model version of the hedge maze where Danny and Wendy are like running around in it. But later But then later on, and during the film, that Jack Torrance was actually writing the novel, not writing the novel that he was saying that he only took the job because he wanted to write the novel in the hotel as well. As soon as he was writing the novel, Wendy Torrance just comes out and comes some kind of hallway that it shouldn't be there because it shouldn't exist. I mean, an impossible hallway. I mean, and then later, Jack Torrance just kind of scolded her for interrupting his novel work or something like that. You need to be an asshole towards Wendy, then cause Wendy to like just retreat out of there or something. But until later, something weird happened. As soon as I don't know if I got the when I forgot to mention that when Danny was riding the tricycle up the second floor of the car lounge, he ended up discovering the room that Dick Halloran didn't want Danny to go in, which is room 237. Danny was actually, interested in the room or get manipulated quickly to go in the room. He has a vision of the Grady twins or something like that. And then he just strolled away. And then later, the snowstorm began to pick up and then caused the whole phone line to go down. And then, yeah, and the only main communication towards it has to be with the radio, which at least it was lucky it didn't get like demolished by the windstorm or something like that. At the same time, Danny was like driving his tricycle around, which is was driving his tricycle around the hotel, and up until he discovered something that probably one of the most iconic moments of the film is the Grady twins. Yeah, I forgot to mention that when Danny was playing in the games room, he ended up in confronting the twins right in front of his face when he was actually playing darts in the games room. But then later, when he encountered again, they said to him like, "Hello, Danny. Come and play with us. Come and play with us, Danny. Forever and ever and ever." Before revealing that the Grady twins were slaughtered. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Stuart Ullman mentioned that Charles Grady came with his wife and two daughters. He stated that it was 8 of 10, but in the film it's actually twins. I was playing that a little bit, but it's kind of weird that Kubrick just messed it up right there for some reason. I mean, in the novel version, in the Stephen King version, the daughters were mentioned in the novel, but they were not never appeared in the novel or the miniseries TV version. I will talk about the miniseries version. I'm gonna continue to talk about the film, so let's get move on. As soon as after the whole weird encounter with the twins and Danny, and later when the Danny and Wendy are watching a movie on the television on the lobby of the hotel, Danny trying to return to his room to pick up some kind of toy or something like that, or I don't know, maybe pick up a toy or something. Back at the room where Wendy stated that his father was sleeping, doesn't want to get interrupted. Which Danny literally entered the room, which ended up discovering that his father wasn't sleeping. He was actually just standing on the bed. No, I mean, just sitting on the bed, and that's it. And then Danny Torrance gets closer and he just questioned about, does he want to love the hotel? And then Jack stated again that he wished he could stay the place forever and ever and ever. Which, of course, that Danny was actually very worried about, thinking that his dad was turning some kind of, he's very addicted to the hotel, or he doesn't want to go, or just wish he could stay there forever. I don't know, Jack Nicholson's performance of Jack Torrance is really just so, very psychotic, as in, he's like a psychopath in the movie, or something like that. He's like a fucking psychopath on the film and not even like caring about his family, just be acting crazy from the start. I mean, yeah, he can be a gentle person when he came through when he entered the Overlook Hotel for the first time. But through the rest of the film, he just started like an asshole, and then he literally just acting crazy when Danny Torrance questioned about if he left the hotel or what was wrong or something bad here or something like that, or he won't even hurt his family or something like that. Jack Nicholson's performance as Jack Torrance is just fucking crazy. Like, yeah, fucking crazy, like I said. And then later, Danny is really playing in the hallway of the Overlook Hotel of the Kala Lounge at the second floor, and then he discovers some kind of ball that just rolled in his face. Which you realize that the room that Dick Allen doesn't want Danny to go was actually opened. Danny entered in, and then then the scene faded, and until Wendy he heard a scream of Jack Torrance having a nightmare. Jack Torrance stated that he had a nightmare about, killing his entire family with an axe and just chopping them to bits. Up until when Danny Torrance just comes out of below the Colorado Lounge. I mean, he just comes out of the room that it shouldn't exist. I mean, the hallway that it shouldn't exist, etc., or something like that. And then later, Wendy would check out the wounds of Danny, realizing he has some kind of scars on his neck. I mean, some kind of bruises on his neck. And then later, he just blamed Jack for all the whole strangling bullshit or something like that, etc. Or maybe, I guess, Jack was trying to, be reasoned that it wasn't him that didn't cause the bruises, which Wendy just accuses him and just calling him a son of a bitch for literally doing that. And later, when Randy and Danny are running away from him on the highway the hallway that shouldn't exist, Jack Torrance just pissed off went to the gold ballroom, really pissed off. As he entered the gold ballroom, when Lloyd was actually when he's about to sit there, he sat down on the Cal Lounge. And then when he has his first conversation with the ghost, and is actually Lloyd himself. Yes, the bartender literally makes his appearance is Lloyd. Jack Torrance talk about Jack Torrance has a conversation with Lloyd all about the previous incidents, that he broke Danny's arm, or the fact that he loved Danny and do everything for him. Or he's not even that sympathetic. He's literally acting like ignorance, or basically just being a dick for some reason. I mean, Jack Nicholson as Jack Torrance during the scene with at the bar scene with Lloyd. It's like Jack Torrance is being like a dickhead when he just basically, I wouldn't touch it with his goddamn little head. I love the little son of a bitch. I'd do anything for him. Any fucking thing for him. Then later, when Jack Torrance had a conversation with Lloyd about, when he grabbed his arm and broke it, or maybe the fact that he's in mocking way, that he said it was an accident. He said it more like a mocking way or something like that, or just being an ignorant asshole. And then later, when Wendy just pops out of Wendy calls for him and told about the whole incident, that it was actually the lady that strangled him, that strangled Danny, and etc. At first, Jack Torrance just ignored them just by saying, "You out of your fucking mind." And then Wendy just told Jack that it was actually the woman that was in Doom 237 that, where Dick Halloran just told Danny that he shouldn't go there. And then later, speaking of Dick Halloran, he was literally living in Miami watching TV. But then with the whole Shining shenanigans come in, when, Danny and Jack, Danny and Dick Halloran having a conversation with their minds. And then just, it's like if Danny was telling like in their mind about the whole crazy shit at the Overlook Hotel, that all about all about the Overlook Hotel or something like that, all about all the craziness around it, or somebody's literally entered the room 237. Speaking of room 237, Jack Torrance enters the room, and then later he at first he seems really nice on the inside the room. And when he everything seems beautiful at first, but until he went to the bathroom, something interesting happened. As soon as he entered the room, he ended up discovering a naked woman. In the novel, it mentions that it was Mrs. Macy. I think it is Macy, I guess. It was the woman that appeared in the room 237, or in the novel or the miniseries, it was actually 1217, which is the room that Stephen King stated at the Rio Stanley Hotel in Colorado. Oh, I'm gonna go back to the Mrs. Macy. I remember that she used to be a 60-year-old woman that in room 217 she had like interesting relationship with the 20 year old bellboy or something like that. And during nighttime, both both Mrs. Macy and the 20-year-old have some kind of how should I say it, playful relationship in the room 227, like a playful relationship up until when the bell when up until the bellboy decided to cheat on her, which it caused her to commit suicide in the bathtub by using pills or something like that, where she died in the room in 217. And then, okay, I'm gonna go back to the film because I already explained about the origin of Mrs. Macy, that she would have sex with, she had interesting relationship with a boy or something like that. And then she commits suicide when the boy just cheated on her in the bathtub, and that's the backstory of the Overlook Hotel. Speaking of backstories, I remember that there's a deleted scene in the film that Jack Torrance discovered some kind of scrapbook that details all about the Overlook's previous incidents, like the Mrs. Macy incident, or the fact that Charles Grady just murdered all his family and two daughters. I'll come back to that in a minute. So, and also, but then later when Jack enters the bathroom of room 217, or room 2217, 2317, no, 2, no, 237, I mean 237, I keep forgetting the room number. And then later when Jack Torrance encounters with Mrs. Macy, at first Jack Torrance is like a, not only he's a dick, not only he's an asshole, but he's a pervert. Yeah, he literally just almost cheated on Wendy by making out by making out with Mrs. Macy right in the bathroom. No kidding. He literally just comes in, Mrs. Macy seduces him, and they both just voila. Up until when Jack is smooching on her or something like that, and then now realizing on the mirror that it was actually an old woman. So he's been seducing a 60-year-old woman or something like that. But Jack Torrance just freaks out, and he just comes out of the room, and then he just locks her in and pretend that nothing ever happened. And speaking of afterwards, after the encounter of Mrs. Macy, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Jack Torrance has found some old scrapbook which mentions all the previous incidents the Overlook Hotel has, the Mrs. Macy incident, etc. Up until later when he returns back to the up until he returns back on the Torrance's room, he stated that there's nothing in there. I'll come back to the theory on something that would happen or something like that. Why he lied, or maybe why he lied because for some reason. And then later is just. And then later, when, Jack Torrance stated that Danny could have done all that himself, that his injuries come from himself or something like that, which is some kind of lie because that's the woman. He really encountered a woman who seduces him, or I guess at first he attacked Danny, then Danny just fucks her off and then just retreated out of there. Or maybe when Jack Torrance just got seduced by the same woman and just realized it was a woman and just get the fuck out of there. And when later, when, Jack Torrance acted pissed off when Wendy told that they should get them hell out of there, or get themselves out of the Overlook Hotel because there's a weird shit going on with the Overlook. But Jack Torrance seems really pissed off because, well, he doesn't want to go, or maybe it's because. But Jack just basically got pissed off at her for doing that, and then he storms off. As soon as he really returns to the lobby, he ended up discovering that the Overlook Hotel was celebrating some kind of party. So at the same time, when he entered the Overlook Hotel, he ended up discovering that the gold bar was now filled with people from the 1920s or 30s or something like that. At the same time, Lloyd was there at the same time. And then, the same shit happens. Getting up on another ball, bourbon, blah, blah, blah. And then later, when Jack Torrance is celebrating at the party, he ended up stumbled across Dermot Grady. Crashed right into him by accident. Which, of course, that just led to the infamous bathroom scene where Dermot Grady is being normal at first, like a normal waiter. But then when Jack just spoiled his ass by revealing the whole, revealing that the hotel, that, all about his caretaking job, or the fact that he murdered his wife and children. Grady seems like he forgot. At first, Grady he lied about it, that he doesn't know everything about that, but in reality, Jack just spoiled him again. Which, of course, Grady just told him about he said, and I quote, "I'm sorry to defend you, sir, but you are the caretaker. You always been the caretaker. I should know, sir. I've always been here." Then later, when, Grady just, responded to him all about when Danny's, trying to, alert Dick Halloran about the whole situation of the Overlook Hotel. And he literally, and Derek Grady just called Dick Halloran, and I quote, "a nigger." No, seriously, you just call him a nigger. That's the most offensive word towards black people. And then Jack, and then Derek Grady just revealed him afterwards about the whole incident with the fact that before the events of the movie, and when Derek Grady just slaughtered his family, Derek Grady just mentioned that the girls didn't care for the Overlook, and trying to burn it down by using matches. And then Derek Grady just come at them and then just corrected them. And when his wife trying to prevent him from doing his duty, he just corrected her as well. And then later, after his conversation with Dermot Grady, Jack Torrance enters the Mr. Ullman's office and just shuts down or removes the batteries, removes the batteries of the radio, which would cause him to lose communication lost communication with the outside. Well, later, Wendy is talking to herself about her escape plan. And then later, when we know but then Danny starts saying red rum all over again. And up until now, when now realize that Tony's in control of Danny, and now Wendy's like truly freaking out what the fuck is going on. And afterwards, a day later, I think, Wendy goes down to the car launch so she can finally speak with Jack all about or see what Jack is doing. She grab a bat. Up until when Wendy checks out the typewriter, what that's what Jack is doing all along. She ended up realizing that the whole thing he's been writing is, and I quote, "All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy." Where he keep repeating all over and all over and all over again, like 500 pages. Like a lot of pages. He literally like wrote all of this the entire time throughout the days and nights, months, days, etc. Up until Jack comes around from the back, and then she told Jack about that they should have got a hotel. Maybe she wanted to like take Danny to a doctor, or maybe, and Jack just scolded her and mocked her because of it. And then later Jack just told her off by saying about how the responsibility he's been doing with the Overlook Hotel, or you just get pissed off at Wendy for little ruining his responsibilities on the Overlook Hotel, considering that he stated that he agreed to look out the Overlook Hotel, and he seemed like pissed off at Wendy for like trying to ruin his future or something like that. And then later when Wendy's like trying to avoid Jack by going up the stairs of the car lounge, Jack is trying to convincing her just to let go of the bat. It's not gonna hurt her, and he just said, "I'm gonna bash your brains. I'm gonna bash right in the fuck in." And then later Wendy just knocks him out, and they just drag his ass on the kitchen and enters the and then just locks him in the pantry. And when Wendy's like stating that Jack is gonna call the radio or take Danny to the or take Danny using the snowcat. But in reality, Jack just tell her that it's got a big surprise on her. But in reality, this crazy son of a bitch literally just corrected the fucking snowcat. Which means that Jack just corrected the radio and he corrected the snowcat. Congratulations, Jack Torrance. You just corrected both things. Congratulations. Up until later when night comes in, both Jack and Wendy are asleep, including Danny, I guess. Then later, when Jack is sleeping, Deborah Grady calls from the other side of the door of the pantry, telling him that he should, you better take care of the family or killing them, and then just telling him about, his heart is not in the hotel. And up until when Jack just, he's told him, Deborah Grady just told him that he should kill his family. And then Grady just unlocked the door. And then the whole climax of the movie when as soon as Danny and Wendy are sleeping, well, except the fact that Danny's already awake and already has walking around, Danny grabbed a lipstick and a knife, and later just draws on the door which reads red rum, which clearly means murder and backwards. And up until Wendy wakes up when Danny alerts her about the word meaning. She wakes up and she's confused about it, but then she stared at the mirror and revealed it that it's murder. Murder and backwards. At the same time, speaking of murder, Jack speaking of this, at the same time, Jack literally trying to chop down the door with an axe. He literally just chop his inside in the Torrance family room. And as soon as Wendy lock herself inside the bathroom and they just, tells Danny, like pushes Danny out the window, calls Danny to like roll the sky, you know, rolling down the slide on the snowy slide. And then later, one of the most iconic moments in movie history. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Here's Johnny moment. As in, here's Johnny. Here's Johnny. Man, I love that quote. It's actually one of my all-time favorite lines in movie history. In movie fucking history. And then later, alright, I got another quote from Here's Johnny. Here we go. Here's Johnny. Alright, there we go. I got enough. I only had three. I just said the quote like 3 times. Man, I love the fucking quote. It's all my favorite quotes in movie history. Alright, let's get a move on. As soon as Jack is about to enter, where we just stab his hand. At the same time, at both they're like, you know, playing cat and mouse game. Dick arrived just in time before both of them are just duking it out. And Jack just like, you know, manages to like go down to the lobby when, you know, when at the same time, DeCalloran enters the hotel and calls out for and just walks around the empty hotel. And then later, Jack just comes out right out of fucking nowhere and just stabs him right in the chest. Well, I guess the heroic moment when DeCalloran tries to save the family just goes in complete ruins because he literally just got stabbed right at the fucking bat. Like he literally had a shining connection with Danny, and then he literally flew his ass to Colorado, and then he drove all his ass towards the Overlook Hotel and finally gets in the result of that, and the result of all of that, he gets stabbed in the chest by a fucking axe. But I guess F in the chat for DeCalloran because he literally wasted all his ass trying to get to the hotel and finally got chopped down by Jack Torrance. F in the chat for DeCalloran for trying his best to save the family, but then he just got slaughtered his ass. But then later, Jack Torrance just chases Danny from the hotel to the outside. And then when Danny Torrance enters the maze, which for some reason is not the front of the hotel, because the last time is actually sideways, because, you know, continuity errors or something like that. Until later, when Jack Torrance enters the maze, he chases Danny from the maze. But Wendy literally skips out of the room, and she also sees some creepy stuff for herself, like a bear man doing some kind of has some kind of interesting relationship with Horace Derwent, the owner of the hotel, I guess. No, Horace was the one who did the great party, isn't it? Or something like that. Like I said again, the first ghost encounter, she literally encounters a bear man doing some kind of, how should I say, he's having a drinking party with another man, And then both of them like finishing up their relationship. I just spotted Wendy just going full static on her. And then Wendy just terrified and just get the fuck out of there. And later she like encounters Dick's body. And then later when she's about to like go to the fake elevator door shaft, she soon discovered the Horace Derwent, the owner of the hotel. I mean, the previous owner of the hotel, he literally just got his head cut off. I heard that some people say that it's the guy who literally greeted Jack at the Gold Ballroom when then Jack enters the Gold Ballroom or something like that, or just kind of creepy. And then Horace Derwent just said, and I quote, "Great party, isn't it?" Or "Great party, isn't it?" And Wendy just freaks out and get the fuck out of there. And then later, Wendy just encountered the skeletons in the hallway, and the skeletons in the lobby, which is not in the European version because it's fully cut. And the last one, the most iconic one that I keep the moment that appears from the beginning, is the elevator blood sequence. And then afterwards, when Danny's like he's chasing off around the maze, he literally like tricked his father by being like in the Wile E. Coyote. He goes trick he trick his father like Coyote Wile E. Coyote style by just tricking him by just covering up his footprints. By covering up his footprints, which just tricked his own father, which is literally just let him trap in there. And then later and then Danny, realizing that he literally trapped his father, he literally retreated back from he retreated back to the entrance of the hotel, reunited with his mother. And when both of them drive away, Jack just got just trapped in the hotel, which it means that he's fully trapped in there. Which it caused that Jack Torrance just freezes to death inside the hotel. As soon as Wendy drives the snowcat, Dick Snowcat, and they manage to get the hell out of there. And then later as soon as Jack hurts the vehicle, he literally screams and then he just collapses. And he's dead. And he dies. Well, it's not that yet, because during the final part of the movie, during the moment of the interior of the lobby of the hotel, we end up realizing that as soon as we see it like a party photo on the Obelix walls, Jack was there. As in, the guy who was in the front of the radars in the party was no other than Jack Torrance himself. Which means that it makes more sense why Double Grady just keep referring to him. He always been the character the whole time. Which it kind of makes more sense. Alright, that's the whole entire film of one of the greatest horror movies of all time. From the 80s and from, the rest of the decades. But from the 80s, and by far my all-time favorite horror movies. So, this movie is definitely one of my favorite horror movies, and I do find some theories that people keep on, getting all spectacle about it, like the Danny theory, or what is the true meaning behind the hotel, or what is the theory, or what is the true meaning, or what it symbolizes, or something like that. I think people keep referring about the Danny theory that I keep literally hearing about with the collective. I heard any YouTuber who keep on referring to Danny theory. It is collective learning. Collective learning explained that this theory has something to do, and the theory of the Shine has something to do with Danny and Jack Torrance, because he kept referring that Danny got sexually abused by his own father. And then he literally has a nightmare after his interesting relationship with his father and inside the Torrance room when his mother wasn't there. And then he has a nightmare afterwards when he enters room 237. And then he just... and he comes out below the cover lounge because because Layla found it really weird, because if he literally comes from the second floor of the Kawa Lounge, and why is he coming out below the stairs or something like that? And then later when revealed that it was actually Jack Torrance that caused him all the bruises or something like that. And then when they just corrected Jack Torrance for literally doing all that shit. And then later when Wendy told him about the room with the lady, it's actually a lie, because there's nothing in the 137. There's actually Jack Torrance being an asshole with Danny, and for some reason. So he lied about going to Route 237. He literally sleep on his ass and then just have a nightmare about the same, how he would treat the same with Danny about sexual abuse or fellatio or something like that. And then later, when she encountered the lady, it's like he's viewing his perspective of his own son, like he's viewing his own son as nightmare or something like that. And up until it makes more sense why he lied, because he already like slept on his ass and just lied about it. Or people keep them referring this theory or symbolize the hotel that has something to do with the genocide of Native Americans. It makes more sense because you literally hear some kind of chant in the opening sequence of the film. It's like, "Ah." Yeah, that chant from the beginning of the film. That's really one of those creepiest part of the film. Or maybe the fact that the hotel like just captures victims, or oh yeah, I forgot to mention, it has something to do with the Holocaust because of Jack Torrance's typewriter. Or maybe some people keep on referring that Stanley Kubrick just faked the moon landing because, Danny's shirt or something like that. Because of Danny's shirt, or maybe the fact that Stanley Kubrick just faked it about the moon landing back in 1969, which is the same year where Godzilla's Revenge was released. Let's go full off topic because I prefer a Godzilla movie from that year, including from the first moon landing on the moon. And well, and also I do remember what happened with Shelley Duvall, that she got abused by the crew of the during the production of The Shining. I mean, her acting is not that bad. I mean, she did a decent job for like acting. Like she crazy all around her. Like she was crazy of all the things around her. I mean, her parents, she feel like she's actually terrified of what's happening. Mostly because she doesn't want to fail with Kubrick, because Kubrick is actually really, despite how a master, like, how this how special this director was, or how professional this director is. He literally was like a total dick when Shelley Duvall was around. Like he just pushes her everything he goes. He's just being a dickhead towards her. And Jack Nicholson just stated that she's like a completely different director when she was Shelley, because both she was actually a hard work with. It was truly a hard work with between, like, I mean, Shelley Duvall and Jack Stanley Kubrick have like a tense conflict between each other. I mean, Shelley Duvall even accepted that if she doesn't act in The Shining, she always just being taken towards Stanley Kubrick, then she wouldn't be in the movie, or maybe she'd have perfect performance. And also, I do remember that Danny Lloyd, the actor who played Danny Torrance in the movie, he didn't realize he was doing a horror movie until he was 16 years old. As in, he literally started a horror movie, but he didn't know he was actually in one, because Stanley Kubrick just pretended that it was a drama film, but in reality it was a complete 180, because in reality, it was actually a horror movie this whole time, because Stanley Kubrick was actually very spectacle by just covering up, thinking that was a drama movie. But in reality, it was a complete 180. But the movie's awesome, but the production is a complete hell of a nightmare for the crew and the cast. And even like the cast from during the filming sequence of the maze, they actually got lost in the maze. Like, no kidding, they actually got lost in the maze. I mean, they got lost by their own creation. And then later when also, I forgot to mention, there's actually a lot of sequences with the bear. I mean, during the US version of the film, we can clearly see there is actually a bear in the film. Like there's a bear pillow and there's a lot of bear images on the other hotel, including the bear who's doing some kind of fellowship on another person. He's doing some kind of fellowship with another person, and then and then I think the bear is actually symbolized of how Jack was treating his son like very incestably. Yeah, I know incestably is not even a word, or I guess it is. I do remember that Jack Torrance was actually reading a Playgirl magazine when he was actually in the lobby waiting for Mr. Ullman, etc. Or maybe like he was actually reading a Playgirl magazine which literally says incest. Parents sleep with their child, which it means why this whole Danny theory came up with, which it makes more sense on the whole Danny theory that keeps popping out that Jack was actually sexually abusing his son and more doing some kind of fellatio with him, which is kind of disturbing, etc. I do remember. Almost people literally almost people like remember that is that Stephen King literally hated it. Yes, he literally hated the movie because there's some aspects of it that really they changed it from not the novel because Stanley Kubrick just like you just got rid of the elements from the novel, it just turned a complete different story. I mean, you just changed a few things, like Wendy not being a blonde or Jack Torrance not being like sympathetic, etc. And the hotel didn't even burn in the movie because in the novel it really burned. It was destroyed, but in the movie it didn't get destroyed. It just stays up still, like still in operation for some reason. There's also another deleted scene that I think everybody knows. There's actually a deleted scene with the ending deleted scene because this ending really appeared when the movie was first released in the U.S. Like like few days before it was cut down. It was it's the moment when after Danny and Wendy escaped the hotel. It's when Danny and Wendy escaped the hotel, and then when Jack froze to death. It truly jump cuts to a moment when the police or the group of police officers are checking the hedge maze to see if they find Jack Torrance's body, but in reality, there's nothing there. And then later we cut to the hospital where Danny and Wendy Torrance are staying at because due to trauma they suffered. Stuart Ullman, yes, the manager himself, Stuart Ullman just passed by, enters the hospital where Danny and Wendy are like staying at. He talks to the officer and then he enters the room where Wendy is actually just resting there. Well, she's not sleeping, she's just staying upright. She's still awake. And then Storm informs her there's nothing paranormal at the hotel. And then Wendy's like confused about it, and then Storm just walks out, and then he like re-encounters with Danny, where he literally just like he literally throws at the same exact ball that literally lured him inside the room 237. Like he literally gives him the same exact ball that Danny just got tricked into room 237. And then when after that, and then the ending, the actual ending continues with the ending with the photo, and that's the end. I do remember that the ending scene was actually shown in theaters, but only when 3 days before it was cut down. Like it's still the scene was actually played in theaters, like 3 days before Kubrick decided to cut it down due to how like the ending with the hospital feels like boring and the audience just walked out. But with the ending cut down, with the hospital scene cut down, it means that the audience stayed down to the end credits. Which truly means that Kubrick ordered one of his workers to go to every movie theater the movie was playing at, it then caught the moment with the hospital scene, with hospital sequence, the police scene, etc. Which it truly means that this scene was now lost because it was never mentioned again. Because it means like it was some kind of like a lost media, like a lost media of The Shining, or something like that. And and the performances and the characters actually really good in my opinion. Jack Nicholson just plays like a crazy maniac in the hotel. I mean, his performances can be a little bit funny and creepy, etc. Shelley Duvall, she's not that bad of an actress or playing a horror movie like this. I mean, it's upsetting that she got mistreated throughout the film. And well, Danny Lloyd's performance is really awesome as well. And well, and I know that it's upset. I know that the movie doesn't follow the same as the novel, but I mean, both of them are good and they're alright. Oh, I forgot to mention about the whole miniseries I keep referring about. After the movie's release, uh, Stephen King really like hated the 1980 adaptation of of the novel. I mean, of the film, which he literally hated so much, despite the fact that the movie was actually praised or celebrated as one of the best horror movies of all time when it's released. He really decided to create his very own adaptation all the way back like 17 years later. As in, it was the TV series was released in 1997, which it was actually like a adaptation of the novel, which is some kind of like a ABC miniseries adaptation of the novel. And well, and then yeah, I forgot to mention that Stephen King, before he hated The Shining, now he actually loves it because thanks to Doctor Sleep, was published in 2013, now released like 7 years late, like like 6 years later, I guess. Yeah, it has to be 6 years later. But it was 6 years when it was released in the when it was released as Doctor Sleep in the U.S. and 6 years later, King now really praised it. Over the time, he really like before he hated, now he loved it because it fixes a few things that a novel have, and now just put them back in the new movie. Which at least Stephen King now loves The Shining, but I'm kind of happy that he loves it now. Anyway, guys, that's my review from The Shining. Hope you guys give it a like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. See ya!